You ever notice something strange about your school? Like how some teachers just feel off, even if no one else sees it? Well, today's story is not just strange, it's terrifying. What if I told you there are rules your teacher should never follow? Rules that, if broken, could put you in serious danger. This isn't just a warning, it's a survival guide. Because if your teacher ever does this, you need to leave class immediately. No questions, no second chances, just go. It started at a normal high school, a normal day, until a substitute teacher showed up, someone nobody remembered hiring. He didn't come through the front door, he was just there, already sitting at the desk before the bell rang. And he already knew everyone's names. He didn't smile, he didn't blink, but he did bring something with him. A strange list of classroom rules taped to the board. Most seemed okay until rule number 4. If I stop speaking, don't look at me. Keep your eyes forward. At first, the students thought it was a joke, but then the disappearances started, and worse, people started forgetting the missing students even existed. The school began to glitch, repeating announcements, alarms ringing at the same time every day, shadows moving on their own. This isn't just a story, this is a message, a warning, because this could happen anywhere, even in your school. So watch closely, stay alert, and remember, if your teacher gives you a rule that feels wrong, run. Now, if you're brave enough, stay till the end, because this story gets darker the deeper it goes. Show some love by joining the community and sharing your thoughts. We're all in this together, and you're not alone. Let's dive into the nightmare. Ready? Let's begin. It was just another normal morning at Hillridge High School. Students were sleepy, dragging their feet through the hallway, backpacks bouncing, lockers slamming shut. Everything felt the same as always until they stepped into room 208. That's when the air changed. It felt heavier, quieter, like the whole classroom was holding its breath. At the front of the room, a man sat silently at the teacher's desk. Tall, pale, wearing a dark grey suit with no wrinkles, like it had never been touched by wind or time. His eyes were open wide, too wide, like they didn't blink. He didn't look up. He was already staring. Nobody knew who he was. The regular teacher, Ms. Carter, was supposed to be there, but her chair was empty. And now this man was sitting where she should be, like he had always been there. There was no sound of him walking in. No one saw him enter. No one saw him in the parking lot. He wasn't in the morning announcements, but there he was, calm, still and waiting. On the whiteboard, his name was written in shaky red marker, Mr. Halloway. Some students whispered to each other, asking if he was a new sub. Others shrugged. But when roll call started, something even stranger happened. Mr. Halloway didn't ask for names. He just looked at each student and said their full name correctly, one by one. Even the ones who never spoke much, even the ones who weren't supposed to be there that day. By then, everyone was staring. Goosebumps rose on arms. A chill moved across the room like a wave. One student, Jamie, tried to joke, "Okay, but who is this guy?" Mr. Halloway turned toward her slowly. He didn't answer, he just smiled. But the smile didn't feel real. It stretched too far, too long. That's when the lights flickered. From the hallway, a soft, static noise buzzed through the intercom. Just for a second. Then silence. No one laughed anymore. Everyone felt it now, deep in their stomachs, in their bones. Something was wrong. This wasn't just a substitute teacher. This was something else. Something that should not be there. The next day, the classroom felt colder. Not like the weather had changed, but like the air itself was avoiding the room. Students stepped in slower than usual, their eyes glancing at the strange man already sitting at the desk, Mr. Halloway. He hadn't moved since yesterday. Same suit, same wide eyes, same blank stare. But today, something was different. On the whiteboard behind him, a fresh sheet of paper was taped up. It looked like it was printed from an old fading machine. The title read Class Protocol Version 7. Underneath were a list of rules. Most of them seemed weird but harmless. Rule 1, keep your shoes on at all times. Rule 2, do not answer the door. Rule 3, raise your hand if you feel unwell. But then came Rule 4, if I stop speaking, do not look at me, keep your eyes forward. Some students laughed nervously. Others thought it was some sort of test. A few looked confused, but no one really knew what to make of it. Why would a teacher say that? Was it a joke? A game? The class began. Mr. Halloway spoke slowly, his voice flat but clear. He talked about math, formulas, numbers, problems. But then halfway through a sentence, he stopped. No sound, not a word, just silence. That's when Emma, sitting in the front row, turned her head. Just slightly, just enough to glance. She screamed. Her chair fell backward as she stumbled away from her desk. Her eyes were wide, frozen in shock. She couldn't even speak, just shaking, trembling. When the other students looked, Mr. Halloway was standing now, not walking, just already standing. His mouth was open, but nothing came out. His eyes were all black, no white at all. Emma didn't come back the next day. Her desk was gone. No one remembered her name, not even her best friend sitting beside her the day before. And the rule sheet? It was still there, same spot, still taped to the board. But now there was a new Rule 4. The morning after Emma vanished, things felt quieter. Not just in the classroom, but in the hallways, the cafeteria, even outside near the buses. It was like something had been removed from the world, but no one could figure out what. Students filed into room 208 like normal, but there was one desk, second row, first seat by the window, that sat empty. No books, no bag, no trace. A few students glanced at it, confused, like their brains were trying to solve a puzzle that didn't have all the pieces. Then came the strange part. When Mr. Halloway began the lesson, he paused, looking directly at the empty desk. For just a moment he smiled, a small, slow curl of his lips. Then he turned back to the board and continued like nothing happened. During lunch, one student, Leo, asked, "Hey, where's the girl who used to sit by the window, you know, Emma?" His friend looked at him, puzzled. "Emma who?" "You know," Leo insisted. "Short brown hair, always wore that blue jacket, loved horror books." His friend shook his head. "I think you're thinking of someone else. There's never been an Emma in our class." Leo laughed nervously, but no one else remembered her. Not even her best friend, the girl who used to share snacks with her every break. It was like she had never existed, like the memory had been peeled out of reality. That's when it truly started, the disappearances, quiet, clean, almost polite. One by one, students were just gone. Their desks erased like chalk off a blackboard, no names on the attendance sheet, no faces in the yearbook. The school acted normal. Teachers carried on, but the class in room 208 was shrinking, slowly, silently. And each time someone vanished, Mr. Halloway's smile grew a little wider. By the end of the week, things inside Hillridge High weren't just strange, they were broken. Not in a way you could fix with tools or wires. No, this was something deeper, something wrong with reality itself. It started with the intercom. Every morning, right at 8 a.m., it buzzed. A harsh, scratchy sound like an old radio with bad signal. Then the voice came through. It sounded normal at first. Principal Daniels reading the daily announcements. But something wasn't right. The exact same words, same tone, same cough between sentences, every single day. Not similar, exactly the same. Like someone hit repeat on a tape that had started to wear out. Some kids noticed, some didn't. But for those who paid attention, the weirdness only got louder. At exactly 10:04 a.m., the fire alarm rang. It was always 10:04, never earlier, never later. The same loud blare echoing through the halls, forcing students into the same exit lines, past the same teachers, saying the same things. It happened 4 days in a row, then 5, then 6, and each time something felt off. The weather outside never changed. The clouds always hung in the same shape. A dog across the street barked at the same second. A plane flew overhead in the same pattern. Then came the echoes. One student, Darren, swore he heard his own voice repeating down the hall after he spoke. Another said she saw herself walking out of the bathroom just before actually walking out. Reflections in the windows were delayed just by a second, just enough to notice. Inside room 208, Mr. Halloway never blinked, never flinched. He wrote the same sentence on the board every day. Knowledge is obedience. Then erased it. Then wrote it again. 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 The students who stayed began to feel stuck. Trapped in a loop they couldn't escape, like time was folding in on itself, like the school was eating its own days. Reality wasn't just glitching anymore, it was starting to unravel. The whispers had grown louder, students were disappearing, memories were vanishing, and the world inside Hillridge High no longer felt real. Every day in room 208 followed the same strange routine, and those who remained began to feel like prisoners trapped in someone else's design. Darren, a quiet student who mostly kept to himself, had been watching, listening. And when his best friend, Taylor, vanished without a word, desk gone, name forgotten, Darren knew he had to find answers. Late that evening, when most of the school was empty, Darren slipped into the hallway near the staff lounge. The door to the security office was usually locked, but tonight it was cracked open, just a little, like someone had forgotten to close it, or maybe like someone had wanted it found. Inside, the room was dark, cold, and buzzing faintly with the sound of old monitors. The air smelled like dust and static. The wall was lined with small TV screens, each showing black and white footage from different parts of the school. At first, everything looked normal. Empty classrooms, flickering hallway lights, a janitor mopping the floor. Then Darren saw the time stamp. Yesterday, 2:13 p.m. That was the moment Taylor disappeared. He rewound the hallway footage outside room 208. Hit play. The grainy tape crackled, lines of static dancing across the screen like ghosts. Students were walking to class, and then Mr. Halloway appeared. He wasn't walking exactly, just gliding, like his feet didn't fully touch the ground. His body moved, but it felt stiff, almost mechanical. But what made Darren's skin crawl was what happened next. As Mr. Halloway passed the big glass trophy case near the stairwell, his reflection wasn't there. All the students walking past had clear reflections, warped slightly by the glass, but there. Mr. Halloway had none. Just empty space. Darren hit pause, leaned in, rewound, played again. Same thing. He even checked other angles, other cameras. Mr. Halloway always showed up, but never cast a shadow, never left a reflection, never touched the ground quite right. Then the tape began to distort. The screen flickered, glitched, and the timestamp started jumping backward. 2:13, 2:12, 2:11, but the footage kept moving forward. On one monitor, Darren saw himself enter the security room. Then again, dozens of versions of himself walking in, over and over, some looking scared, others confused. One version stared directly at the camera and smiled. Darren backed away from the screens. The static grew louder, filling the room like a scream made of electricity. Suddenly all the screens shut off, except one, room 208. On it, Mr. Halloway sat at his desk. Still, silent, staring straight ahead. Then slowly he turned his head and looked directly into the camera. Darren ran. He never came back to school. And by the next morning, no one remembered who he was. The air was thick with silence. It was a normal Tuesday morning, or at least it seemed like one. Room 208 was half empty now. The remaining students sat stiffly in their seats, eyes forward, too afraid to speak. The rules on the board had changed again. Now there were 10 of them, each more strange than the last. Rule 7 simply said, ignore the broadcast. At exactly 9:45 a.m., the classroom intercom clicked on. No static, no warning, just a cold, mechanical voice. This is an emergency message from School District 51. The room froze. All students and staff are advised to listen carefully. Mr. Halloway stood up, slowly. He didn't move toward the board. He didn't speak. He just listened. His eyes locked on the ceiling speaker. If your classroom has received a sheet titled Protocol Version 7, evacuate immediately. A faint hum started vibrating through the walls. The lights dimmed but didn't flicker, just stayed low, like the building itself was holding its breath. Do not acknowledge your teacher. Do not speak. Do not look back. Leave your belongings. Evacuate the building using your nearest exit. One student, Maya, slowly stood up. Her chair creaked behind her. Her legs were shaking, but she moved toward the door. Mr. Halloway turned his head. The light snapped back to full brightness for half a second. The walls seemed to bend inward, like the room had exhaled, but never planned to inhale again. Failure to comply will result in erasure from active records. You will not be remembered. You will not exist. Then came the final words. This broadcast will now self-delete. This message was never sent. This warning never happened. And just like that, the intercom cut off. No one spoke. No one moved. Maya was gone, not just from the room, but from memory. Her seat was filled with a new desk, a new student, someone no one questioned. And on the board behind Mr. Halloway, in red marker, a single new line had appeared beneath the rules. You heard nothing. You saw nothing. You were never here. The next day, room 208 was full again, but every face was different.